This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, and the video ends. You wake up in your bed, and you believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in half a clue land, and I show you how deep and disappointing this film truly was.
A blue pill all the fucking way.
Hell yeah,
oh my
dude.
gosh.
Well, maybe we should have taken the blue pill.
Yes.
I don't know. I still kind of like the red pill. It's tasty and it's candy.
It's sugar coated.
Yeah.
Yeah, but blue pill knocks you out. And
All right, everybody, welcome back
to another episode of
Half a Clue
Movie Review.
Today we'll be discussing The Matrix Resurrections. It's a movie.
Yeah,
That it is.
it's what's else. So this film was directed by just by Lana Wachowski, who has been on a little bit of an upswing with Sense8. Sense8 was actually a pretty decent TV series, and it was doing something innovative. And I thought, wow, are the Wachowskis back? Are the Wachowskis back? Right? Are they coming back?
Mm-hmm.
They're finding their creative groove.
Well, one is back.
Yeah, and
maybe
the wrong one's back. So. After years of rejecting offers from Warner Brothers to make another Matrix series, they were like, it ended definitively on Matrix Revolutions. Despite what you think about the Matrix series overall, Lana Wachowski said she fell asleep one day and came up with the entire story in like overnight.
I can believe that.
and decided to make it.
Yeah,
and that's how it got made.
I heard partly inspired by her parents' passing, right?
A little bit, yeah.
They both passed within the span of like a week or something.
Oh,
and she said that revisiting these characters, specifically Neo and Trinity, who were near and dear to her heart, it helped kind of bring some level of comfort. So I guess I can understand that.
I guess you could have just made, you could have drew a personal therapy session of like Neo and Trinity doing whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah.
But why share it to the world and waste $150 million, $200 million budget on this shit?
Yeah.
Oh god. Okay, so all right. Before we even get into torpedoing this movie, Miles might not, because it seems like he might be more positive on this.
I think that it was really good at redoing all the exact same things that the other three movies had done.
Oh no, I completely disagree. We're gonna talk about that in a bit.
We will definitely discuss.
All right,
this.
so what is everyone's history on the
That's why we're
Matrix
here.
series, and thoughts and opinions on Matrix, the Matrix Reloaded, and Matrix Revolutions? We'll start off with you, Miles.
Matrix, love the movie. It's a great standalone film, and I think that it did a great thing. But then Matrix second
Reloaded
one was Reloaded. Yeah. Matrix Reloaded. Still an okay film. I enjoyed it. They added some cool new story elements. They also added some kind of dumb story elements. Flying.
Oh wait, no, they introduced that in the first one. At the end. Remember he flew?
Well, okay, at the end, yes. Okay, yes, you are correct on that. But they didn't really oh yeah, he's just going to fly everywhere. I thought that was just a moment of power that he had at the end. But at the same time, I don't think that the first movie needed a sequel. And I think that it's worse off for having a sequel and having a third movie. And the third Matrix was just... it's hard to watch
it's
sometimes.
So bad that Miles can't think of words.
It's hard to... No, it's hard to watch sometimes. I rewatched it today. Just so that I could remember some of the plot beats and stuff like that. And God, I skipped through like half of the scenes that were action scenes because I was like, oh yeah, I remember how bad this action scene is. Okay. And they're just boring, basic action for the majority of the movie. And it's, you can watch the movie and get all the story details and plots. And it only takes like 45 minutes. And this is a 2-hour and 15-minute movie. Like, that's literally how much just bloat of action there is in it. So, not really my cup of tea.
For me, I was a little late to the Matrix. I didn't watch them when they came out or anything. But I remember exactly how old I was. It may have been like middle school, maybe like even high school. But like I remember my friend Ricardo let me borrow the VHSs and I went back and I watched them and I was like just blown away by the first one. I was like, oh my gosh, like this movie's incredible. Like how have I not seen this sooner? Like of course I was already, the world was well aware of The Matrix, right? Like everyone was leaning back doing like the bullet time shit, like especially as a kid, when it first came out, like it was big everywhere. I think like most people, I was pretty disappointed by the sequels. I've softened over time though. Like I've revisited, Revolutions and Reloaded and Revolutions or whatever, and I'm like, they're not as bad as I think like most people think they are. Like I think they had a lot like this film. Not to spoil my idea, but like they had a lot of interesting concepts and I think really cool ideas that they just really failed to follow through on.
Because the movies had no heart. That was the biggest issue, I think.
I don't know. I think if anything, they really leaned into like the emotional stuff, which like I think it's like for its good and bad. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but
yeah.
It's like they had some cool stuff. I think the action for the most part was interesting, in especially Revolutions, like the weird, like the dudes who like can phase through stuff. I'm like, I think this is cool.
Oh, that's Reloaded.
Yeah, Reloaded, and then like I think that stuff's cool. And in Revolutions, it's kind of like where I think it's definitely the weakest. But then there's some stuff I liked about it, like the architect and stuff at the end. I think that was a really fascinating idea. I like the character. I know he got like spoofed a lot, especially like George Carlin in like was a Scary Movie 2 or no 3.
Yeah.
But like it's hilarious though. But I think there's some cool stuff there. But overall, like the first one is a technical marvel, a perfect kind of storytelling, action, everything. It's like I think it's borderline like just like this perfectly crafted film. And then the sequels had the impossible task of trying to live up to that, and they've all failed. Yeah, that I'll say
all
that.
Sequels.
Yeah.
For me, I've watched all the ones. I guess because my one of the few things my dad and I connect on is I guess he really loves The Matrix. Because I guess we both really like Hong Kong action films or martial arts films, and to see that in like a mainstream Hollywood movie, mixed in with sci-fi elements from Blade Runner and Ghost, and this is pretty much the first one was a live action adaptation of Ghost in the Shell in a weird way.
Yeah.
Because that's how they pitched it. They showed us the producer. They showed Ghost in the Shell. Like, what if we did that but live action?
That's
give us
cool.
$100 million.
And again, there's a lot of those like mirrored shots and elements from Ghost in the Shell that carries over. But yeah,
so even the when the Smith explodes in the first one, that's straight up a shot from Akira.
Oh yeah, okay.
Like like the weird thing,
the head
thing. Yeah, so it's like it's cool, and then seeing the anime influences, seeing the Hong Kong martial art film influences, and also classic American 1980s 1970s sci-fi all mixed
Kung Fu
into one.
too.
Yeah,
like,
I know, it was cool, and even the gunfights in the first one was absolutely revolutionary.
Yeah,
like the one with Trinity and Neo are trying to rescue Morpheus, and they enter going through the things. They had to rebuild that set 100 different times. And when we get to technical, I'm going to reference that scene and why it fails in the new one.
Yeah.
But I watched.
I do want to see something real quick. Just wall smashing is not as powerful anymore now that they did it in Fast and the Furious. Just having a guy punch through the wall, it doesn't feel like a superhuman feat anymore.
It's like the thing is, it's like it can still feel impactful and stuff, and it can still be done well, but like, man, do they just like in the first film, it feels like when they punch and they kick and everything, and it's like destroying everything around them and stuff. You feel it, man. It holds up to this day, like pretty much every part of it.
Every single part. So that's why when Blake was on, he was going to talk about it's overrated, but he's wrong and he doesn't have eyes. So what is it called?
Do you want to talk real quick? Since or actually, I'll let you finish, but then we got something I think to talk about.
I'm not sure what.
Well, we went to go see it in theaters recently.
Oh yeah.
You guys both saw it in theaters?
Yeah, we saw the original.
I figured we should talk about that real quick.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. So for me, I watched every single one. Even I didn't hate the Reloaded and Revolution as much. Honestly, I think as a story wise, they both almost fail on every level. But I've transitioned my mindset about those two films as more like they're kind of like roller coaster rides with sci-fi element.
Yeah.
And when I think about it that way, I soften quite a bit. I still think they kind of suck, but I enjoy them. I enjoy watching them because there's like, especially the highway sequence, they closed a bunch and there was a super complicated sequence and reloaded. And the martial arts scenes, even though I wish Neo didn't have his glasses, because part of what we connect to the character is his eyes, and you see the struggles of the eyes. And that was actually a big mistake by just having him, with those glasses the entire time. But what's it called? But in this case, I think I disagree with you a little bit on Revolutions. I think even if you compare it to a lot of modern action scenes filmed to this day, not the Kamehameha Goku versus Vegeta fight scene at the end with Smith and Neo, because that's ridiculous when they're holding each other in the air and fighting CGI balloons. But when they're on ground and just literally hitting each other hand to hand fight sequences, and they had the choreographer, I think his name is Yu Ping. If I got it wrong, I apologize. But he's
choreographed and well shot.
Okay, there's a 20-minute sequence where they're just shooting down CGI seekers or whatever.
Sentinels.
Yeah,
Sentinels. I think those scenes are that's to say the action scenes that I enjoyed are all the hand-to-hand martial arts sequences. That what's it called? Those were done well for the most part. There's actually not that much in third one. It's actually mostly with the Sentinels.
Well, see, that's why I was saying Revolutions is just packed with with a bunch of pointless action that I don't care about.
Right, but even the pointless CGI action here is surprisingly done a lot better in a lot of pointless CGI actions, even in films that I liked a lot, like in Marvel films, where like there's a beginning, middle, and end to every scene. There's actions have consequences. Like if they shoot, they raise the stakes of like the Nebuchadnezzar has to go through the gate, but in order to go through the gate has to be closed by the discount, I don't know, bald Neo guy who wants to be and shoots that. Like there's thought and well put into to the action, and also they have some cool practical effects like model sets that they use. Like I didn't know that when the machine stormed the headquarters and that tower that fell down, that was all practical. They just blew it up and they shot it in a certain way. So it's it's like I said, it's there's a lot to like and a lot to love. I mean, it mostly sucks because there's a stupid Jesus Christ allegory, especially when Neo dies and he literally grows like Jesus Christ wings. But like I said, that's how I feel about it.
That's the best part of the movie. It's about Jesus.
You guys want to talk about you guys just recently? Well, I also recently watched Matrix in Dolby when it was coming out with a 4K release. But before I get to that, you guys want to talk about your experience? Just watching, you guys watched it regular, right?
Yeah, just like a regular little theater.
We just watched it in a regular theater, but at the same time, it was nice. I felt like the action and the CGI from the first one really held up very well. They didn't use too much CGI. They used just enough where they needed to, and you could also see that they had a great mixture of practical effects. Everything seemed to work really well, and I went away thinking, wow, this, CGI wise looks better than a lot of modern movies that I see using CGI, just because they used it correctly. Not necessarily because it, the quality of the CGI is better, but because it was used better in that movie for the first one.
That's fair. I feel like, again, walking away from it, I was, again, blown away by the technical aspects of it, the way that they're able to shoot the choreography, the fight stuff. I mean, the bullet time effects, of course, the rigging of the cameras all around, like creating those 360 shots. It just holds up. And even just little effects of like having dust and dirt strategically placed on the actors, around the actors. So when they hit, you get that little extra in-camera effect of just that boof of like, the poof. And it's just like, it adds that little extra touch that just makes all the hits and, kicks and everything just more impactful. And
it's like they forgot that.
Right. It's like they kind of just left that behind. And it's like, again, that's kind of like a pretty anime thing too, of like, just having like the world around them just like crash and stuff, but whatever. But I was just, again, blown away. It's like the music, the choreography, everything's just so fucking good in the first one. Like the pacing is perfect. It's just like it believable, even though it's like a really unbelievable story. Again, the story is not that complicated. It's pretty straightforward, but like it still manages to like really just blow your mind. Yeah, and even like with those huge exterior shots of like the where they're like farming the humans and the sentinels and the robots and stuff, it works really well. And I get part of that goes because like it's easier to make believable CG like robots and machines. It's just easier.
And also
than it
it's
is
like
doing humans. And then eventually again when they get to the sequels and they have the people looking super rubbery and shit, it's like that's where it dates. That's where it's like, you know, dated and obviously misused.
You mean the pinball fight scene with the Smiths?
Yes. Laughable, of course, but like they didn't really do that in the first one because thank God they didn't, because it's like I don't know if they just knew their limitations or they just didn't want to go there yet. But yeah, I'm glad they didn't. And the first one definitely holds up. I was super excited to watch it in the theater for the first time, and I'm just so glad that I did.
Yeah.
And another thing I wanted to mention is story-wise for the first one, like there wasn't a single forgettable scene in the first movie, in the original Matrix.
I agree. Yeah.
Because I haven't watched it in 7 or 8 years, I would say. And when we went in to go watch the movie, beat by beat, I knew exactly the next scene that was going to come up, what was going to happen. It stuck in my mind that much for that long, which doesn't happen with a lot of movies. Every time I watch a movie, it's like, oh, I forgot about that scene, or I forgot about this scene, or I forgot about this going on here. And I was just amazed that it was that memorable and that packed, where everything that happened in the movie was super impactful. It flowed super well. Just overall, a great movie.
For me, I think like, I agree with most of it. When I watched it in Dolby, when the 4K release thing was going on, I think the biggest thing that there's two things. One, the first was, oh my god, the sound effects where every like whenever it hits, right? Super snappy, super effective. Maybe not super realistic, but it works well. Like what they're going for.
It creates it matches the world that they're setting up and the tone and everything.
We did have a sound issue when we went to go see it because they just had front speakers. They didn't have any surround speakers,
no full
which
surround.
I was very disappointed.
That's why I guess I sent you guys I know it's in Norwalk, right? The IMAX screening and stuff. What's it called? But
down to the Norwalk.
Because
I'm gonna drive 3 hours down to Norwalk just to go watch The Matrix.
I honestly would, because like when's the next time it's gonna be in theaters, especially now. Which literally and after you told me this, and some other people told me this too, like I was buying tickets to West Side Story and it literally got refunded because they canceled the showing and changed it to Spider-Man. Yeah.
Really? For the original West Side Story?
No,
the new one.
So I'm saying like, I mean, they're probably gonna do that in the future for like, and let alone if they're doing this for current movies, classic movies coming on screen, it's for AMC.
That's
specifically.
so disappointing because Spider-Man. Never mind. I'm not going to talk about it.
Let's not
I'm not going to mention it. But
then the other thing that I noticed quite a bit, I don't know how it is for you guys. I don't know if you guys got the 4K print, but when I watched it, because when it came out on DVD and Blu-ray, they color graded quite differently than how it was theatrically. Yeah, because it was like very green, like because the sequels are very green, right? Like very green, a huge green tint.
It had the remastered color grading.
Because and the one that I looked is like, okay, so it wasn't as green, and you see like the skin tones were a lot more natural, and you see the costume design is more green, and it popped out more with the production design, how much green they actually put in instead of like using a green tint. And there's a lot more blues. Actually, I remember too.
The bullet effects, they were more green in the earlier version, but when they recolor graded them, they're more blue.
Yeah. What did you guys see? Was that for the case for you guys when you watched it or no?
Yeah, it was definitely updated because I'd seen the VHS or like the DVD versions or the TV versions, you know, everywhere that it's on, and it does look more green. But in the theater, it definitely. It was more blue, and there's still that like fantastic like set design and like art direction where there is definitely green is more prevalent inside of the Matrix, so you don't lose that effect. The fact that, you know, and it does, like, you can tell there's like some color grading at some level, right? That's like making it a little bit more green. But it's not overly saturated, which is good.
Yeah,
and I want to mention that it's also kind of like the perfect green because. You know, usually when you see green, you associate it with naturalism and things like that, where it's representing nature and representing, like, you know, this is reality and this is real. But it's this kind of off green, this kind of synthetic feeling green.
It's like a
really just almost an
like
alien green.
The green
yeah.
they use in the code, which is
Yeah.
which
Yeah,
is
in
good.
the
It's
code,
consistent.
or like the green that's like, you know, that fluorescent light green, that like
Yeah.
that shitty fluorescent green, and that makes everything look like shit. Like
Yeah.
you know, like George Carlin says, you're in the mirror and like side of a bathroom in like a random like Arco or something, and you see every pump, every little pimple, blister, scar, and thing on your face. You're like, oh my god, like, you know, it's that kind of shitty, nasty greenish tone, but they make it work very well, and obviously it gives that, you know, artificial feel,
Yeah.
which is
Which
nice.
makes sense in this.
Yeah.
So now let's get into what we're here for today. The atrocity known as the Matrix Resurrections. Which,
I don't think it's fair to call it an atrocity
Yeah, I
at the
wouldn't even
beginning
say
until
that.
we
It's-
discuss it.
It's not good.
I'll say this.
It's not
But
good,
it's not
but
an atrocity.
It's an atrocity. I
okay,
really think it is.
what is your biggest issue with it?
All right, one. Okay, so I was fully okay with. There's a lot of cool ideas with, like, you know, the meta commentary, and I was like, they reference Warner Brothers,
I thought it was
Yeah.
fucking hilarious when they did that. That was
but they don't commit to that at all. Right? They
No.
completely forget about the meta concept and they go straight into just a very
doing
standard-
exactly what they said that they're like,
Not
they're
gonna
making
do.
fun of. Yeah,
But,
that
but
was
it's
my
okay to
issue.
do that, like, because, you know, in like 22 Jump Street they did that, but
Yeah.
every time they were doing the exact same thing, they were talking about, like, this is just the same. Why
Yeah.
are we doing this? Again?
Also, it's a fucking comedy. Sorry, 22 Jump Street.
Yeah, it
it's a
works better.
comedy. That's
Yeah.
the point. Is
wait,
it's
the
supposed
Matrix 4 wasn't a comedy? I was laughing
maybe
the
for a
entire
certain part.
movie.
For
Yeah.
a certain part.
to, yeah.
No, I was literally laughing through like 90% of the movie.
But
I
it's
was
not
like, oh my
laughing for
god.
intended laughs. It's you're laughing because you're just laughing at the atrocity scene.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought that
Literally,
they
there's a
just,
train
you know,
wreck happening on the scene, which is what this movie was. Okay, so all right, let's. I guess we all talked about brief opinions, but let's get first into the characters, right? The new characters, the recast characters. My gosh, and or the returning characters. The two ones are being four. The four being Matrix, not Matrix, Neo, Trinity, Niobe, and good old. Oh my god, I was surprised they brought him back. By the way,
Oh, the Merovingian?
the Merovingian.
Lambert
Yes.
Wilson.
And
okay, so
God,
so you're
okay.
telling me that it's not a comedy, and they had the Merovingian like in the middle of the movie.
And
That was
also
probably
looking
the
like he just
funniest
stepped
scene of
off.
the entire movie.
He looks like he just stepped out of like a shitty Mad Max like copy or something, and he's just like, that was really the point where I was like, okay, kind of just like fuck this movie.
Yeah.
Like
What?
fuck it. Like yes, because
Yeah, same.
it's like why would you bring back a character like the Merovingian in the way that they did, and
I was
literally just
laughing the whole
served
time.
zero purpose to the
it
film.
disrespected the Merovingian.
Yeah,
from
it's
the
like you could cut out his character, literally just re-edit it where you just cut out his character completely. The scene would have worked just the same, which was
Or
still
even better.
stupid. Yeah, it would have been better. Just like literally just cut his shit out.
They also
No,
cut
but
the action to his
think-
character. Like, you're literally
Yeah.
interrupting the action
Yeah,
scenes.
you're cutting over to him just being like, yeah, he's like sitting up there and he's like,
It was so funny though, and I think that
wasn't
the
that
point,
funny.
you know, it was really funny, and I think that the point was that he had gone completely mad. It
We
just
got the
kinda-
point. But
yeah.
was the point necessary? Was the point even worth watching?
yeah,
or the point
did
ending?
it add
No.
anything?
And
No, it didn't.
And yes, the meta
It
commentary
literally took away
making
from the
nostalgia
scenes.
bait. But you know the thing is, this nostalgia when they brought him back, it actually felt just like nostalgia bait without the commentary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, because yes, they are talking about referencing, oh, they got to bring the Matrix back. Are we gonna do it or whatever? And it's like, yeah, okay, then do it. But how are you? And it's just like
Yeah,
it's
it's
just pointless and stupid.
Alright,
Like
well-
again, the biggest things of the characters that they do bring back, right? That's what we're
Yeah.
talking about. So like Morpheus, or the fact that
played by Yahya
Abdul Mateen II as Morpheus had zero reason to be Morpheus. They establish in this movie that Morpheus died. He became the leader of humanity or whatever, and he did good for them. And it's like, hey, that's great. So why the fuck is Morpheus back? Just have him be dead and gone. Just move
Okay,
on.
So,
wait.
but he does say, no, when he's talking to Neo, he's like, "Oh yeah, you modeled me after like two big influences in your life, Morpheus and Agent Smith." And he's a piece of code that Neo wrote.
But
He's
why-
not actually a person, because it's just he took Morpheus, who is his big mentor, and he kind of modeled it after this guy, and he was like,
Right.
"Why
I
did this
get
guy
it.
break me up?" Because that was the person to free him the first time. So it does work, because one of the concepts that they're going for in this film is repetition, and the whole thing is Keanu Reeves character is Neo, is trying to get these events to play out again because he's trying to escape, but he's not able to do anything himself. And the person who was able to
Is
help
he
him
doing
escape,
that, though?
yes, no, subconsciously he has been doing that all along. He's been working towards escaping.
Well, I do agree with that because he made the modal.
Yeah, and that's why he made the modal, and that's why he, he knew that the two people, right, Agent Smith and Morpheus, were the two people who were able to break the bonds that, as well as him. So he knew that if two people could save him, it would be those two. So he tries to combine them together in the modal, and that's why when Bugs finds Morpheus in the modal, and that's also why he's called Morpheus. That's why he is finally able to break Neo out, and he's able to help Neo escape.
But here's what I'm saying: like, should he have been Morpheus, or should he just been a brand new character that Neo created specifically for that role to break him out of the Matrix? Because if he's making an amalgamation between Morpheus and Agent Smith, two characters who are very different, other than the fact that they both kind of broke out of the system, it's like, why have it be that character? Why not just be a brand new character that is capable, that is built there specifically for him to break him out? Because I like the idea of a rogue agent breaking away from his programming or whatever. I like that concept a lot. I mean, that's what we get with Agent Smith, but again, going on the side of humanity, or at least on the side of against slavery, whatever, I'm fine with that. But it's the fact that they make him Morpheus it brings all of this weight that is simply there, at least in my opinion, for nostalgia, and that's where it fails.
And they shouldn't have called him Morpheus. They should have called him Morph. Honestly, no, because then it could be oh yeah, it was a reference that Neo was making to Morpheus, but it wasn't directly him. And by calling him Morph, I mean, that's cool because then he becomes these flying bugs in reality or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, I say no to that because that's atrocious. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know if I like that.
No,
also,
but I'm saying
really quick,
it would have worked if it was just somebody completely different that was a rogue agent.
It would have worked.
I think that
better.
It's a creative choice that they chose to make. It might not have been the best choice. It probably wasn't the best choice, but I don't think that it's necessarily shameful what they did.
I think it is, but the thing is, it wouldn't have been shameful. At first I was like, okay, so they're doing a meta commentary of which was much done better in 22 Jump Street, literally in the post-credit scene where Seth Rogen replaces Jonah Hill. Yeah. and they were trying to make a thing of it's more on commercial viability, and they try to just have the movie going regardless of actor availability. And if they were going to go through with it, I was like, okay, are they going to... I was like, fine. I was kind of on board with, okay, so they have Morpheus to recast, and they're going with the meta commentary thing of they try to get as much people as they can, but they simply recast it for nostalgia bait. Or how are they gonna play this out through? It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't. They don't. That meta commentary disappears after a certain point, right? Literally after Matrix realizes it's the real world and they go to IO, the meta commentary completely disappears. Yeah. It's subtle, but you can't be subtle if you're going that hardcore meta in the first thing, right? Yeah. It has to be fucking consistent. So that honestly, I think it's very shameful what they did with Morpheus. If you're not going to follow through on the recasting meta commentary of reboots, then don't do it at all. Yeah. It's so distracting. And Yahya Abdul-Mateen, that guy was killing it this year. He was fucking Candyman 2. He was in Aquaman not too long ago. He killed it as, spoiler alert for people who haven't watched Watchmen, he was, Dr. Manhattan, and he killed it on that role too, won an Emmy.
So
why wasting him?
I think you could say that it is meta commentary still, because
no, but it stops after a certain point.
No, but
they just treat him as
I've got an argument that says that it keeps on going. Now, I'm not going to say that this argument is right. I'm not going to make that decision, but it could be said that literally there are no original scenes throughout this entire movie after they stop doing the meta commentary thing. It's literally just remakes of all the scenes from all the older movies, just mashed together into one thing. And maybe in fact the movie itself is just the commentary projecting what the meta is.
But they don't treat that after a certain way of point.
Saying fuck you to
I mean
to
it
Warner
could
Brothers.
Okay, look, it's I'm just going to regurgitate all this shit that I already did.
But then
that isn't true, because the final sequence is not even from the original.
And also, even if that's what she was trying to do,
it came out terribly.
Then it's it came out terribly, and also it doesn't necessarily justify it. It's like that could have been an attempt, but even then it's like that doesn't make an enjoyable experience at all. And I feel like unless her point was to try and make a shitty sequel, then then she
Point
failed.
made.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a shitty sequel, so I guess it's successful.
Yeah,
that part.
that's what I mean. Yeah. Like then you succeeded in making a shitty sequel. If that's what you were trying to do, then good job. But if you're trying to make a entertaining and satisfying version of what you could do in like a, we keep throwing around the word meta, but a meta commentary.
We're jumping the gun because we're just about characters. The meta commentary is actually saved for a bit.
Let me just talk about the characters
here.
Didn't
you hear the meta commentary? Sorry, I just one last thing. Didn't you hear them say, yeah, it's either we make it or they're going to pull the contract and somebody else does about making the sequel.
By the way,
fine. And you know what? In that case, then she probably should have just let someone else do it.
Yeah. Okay. Let's dial it back to the
Okay,
actual stuff.
just about the characters.
You're making a nightmare for.
Okay.
It's not timestamps.
Okay. So Agent Smith. As
played by Jonathan Groff.
Jonathan Groff, who's another great actor, who is then pigeonholed into being Agent Smith. Again, rather than having a whole new fucking character or a different character that they could have introduced, they cast him as Agent Smith. So immediately then we're like comparing him to Hugo Weaving, who did an amazing job in the original, and then now we have to just make us believe that that's fucking Agent Smith, although he isn't.
No, it doesn't feel like it at all.
No. Why is he still there? I don't fucking know. Like, can you explain to me why Agent Smith would still exist in this world?
No,
because he did a pretty definitive job of wiping him out in the first time.
It's not actually Agent Smith. It's Neo's projection of Agent Smith.
Is
it's
it?
The same way that the Oracle in the third movie is
not necessarily true, because they specifically said in the movie that they recreated the Smith program. Not not by because the Yahya Abdul Mateen character was supposed to be Smith and Morpheus, so that's Neo's creation.
Yeah.
But then for this version of the Architect, the therapist or whatever, played by Neil Patrick Harris, which was ridiculous. He actually recreated Smith from the ground up, from like the little speck of code or whatever that was somehow surviving after Matrix Revolutions.
And I thought that he pulled it from Neo though.
Well, because they're intrinsically entwined, but that's like the thing.
The
little bit left, because that's from the body, right?
Yeah,
but it's
ridiculous
that's what I'm
saying.
Because okay. So you know what? We're pulling ahead because we're still talking about new characters now.
Okay.
Like I said, let's not jump around. We're actually trying to have time steps this time.
Okay. New characters.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll save our meta commentary for a bit. Okay, so I think like I said, all the returning characters, I think it was terrible. Even Neo and Trinity, I think the values their sacrifice and what happens. But we'll get that in a bit. So the new characters, well, I guess there's also returning characters like Sati, but it's a side character. We'll get to that in a bit. But new characters, the main ones that we're talking about is the two ones are Seek. There's Seek, which whatever. He's like Dozer and stuff like that, and he's whatever discount Dozer. And Bugs, which she was honestly my favorite character of the entire fucking film, even though she didn't have anything to do, but the actress Jessica Henwick did the best that she could do.
She was more of a Morpheus than Morpheus was.
Yeah, exactly. And again, that's why I was like, why even have Morpheus if you have this character?
Like Jessica Henwick, I think she killed it with the action scenes, whatever she was given. Yeah, and also like she was a pretty. Maybe I'm just like biased because I think I find her extremely attractive, but also
oh my god,
what's it called? But whenever she was on scene, I was a little bit more engaged. She was a very engaging presence, like as Bugs. I mean, her character was shit. Like all these characters were shit.
You didn't like handsome Chad?
No.
Oh yeah, the fact that they have actual Chad. I was like, Chad. Okay, so I'm assuming this is a fucking reference to Chads.
You know who he is, right?
No.
What's it called? He's a director for John Wick.
That's a director.
Wait, really?
Yeah. How'd you guys know? We talked about this before.
I don't remember his face.
Yeah.
Or his name, honestly.
I never watched the John Wick movies.
Oh, that's fine. Miles, don't say anything, please. Okay. Don't say anything about that, please.
Oh my god!
You're silence from that. Silence stranding John Wick.
Okay, I'm just gonna say in general.
No.
I'm not talking about John Wick. I'm just saying in general. I'm not a big fan of just straight action stuff. But
like I said, Miles, this is why I was saying just zip it. Zip it. The Sad Selesky, there's two. One, he's the director of John Wick, and two, he was the action double for Neo. For Neo in the original Matrix trilogy.
Oh,
and we
cool.
talked about this too, because when the first John Wick came out, we talked about how he paid them a lot of money and that his action double was directing John Wick.
Oh, I didn't know that was his action. Oh, dude, how long ago was that? Fucking,
yeah, I know. You don't remember all our
John Wicks
conversations,
man.
And also, we watched behind the scenes video where I was showing you how they did the motorcycle scene, and it was him, Chad Selesky, showing how.
Wait, was he the one that was there when we watched King Kong, or what was it? Like,
no, that's not him. That's the director for Deadpool.
Oh,
1.
yeah, never mind.
Yeah.
Whatever, it doesn't fucking matter.
You know your directors.
It doesn't matter
yes,
right
it
now.
does. It's a shame that you don't.
Also, I want to mention,
he's a genius of action.
Christina Ricci's in this movie for some reason.
Yeah, she's just in one scene.
She was in Speed Racer, so they're just like, bring her back.
And then, what do you guys think about Bugs? Do you guys like the Bugs character for what was given? Do you think Jessica Henwick did the best she could for an audience surrogate character? Do you wish
honestly,
maybe she was
I wish
bigger
that
focus?
she had I wish she had more scenes. I wish that they kind of developed her backstory of her character, other than like. At the beginning, it felt like the focus was going to be on her, and Neo was going to kind of be secondary in this movie. And I think that I would have liked the movie a lot better if they had gone with that route.
I agree. I think the focus should have been. I mean, if they still were going to have Neo and Trinity, I personally wish they didn't. That they were actually just dead. But if they were still sticking with this route, and actually resurrecting them, which is, by the way, their resurrection scene was ridiculous, but we'll get that at a certain point.
I would have loved if they had actually had to fight against Neo and Trinity at the end of it. And
possibly.
Yeah.
We'll get into alternate what we think to fix it. But let's just about the characters. About Bugs, I think, because Jessica Henwick, from like she's talented enough that, she could still be in a shit TV series and stand out, right? Like Iron Fist. And
hey, I really like
Iron Fist. She's also a
Fist.
sand snake in
I know, yeah.
Game of Thrones.
Iron
Another
Fist is
terrible.
Iron
on
Fist
that
is
show.
like one of my favorite Marvel TV shows.
Zip and Mouse. You have lost all ability to speak. Now that you said something that is unspeakable into the world, that Iron Fist is your favorite Marvel.
Why is that
show.
unspeakable? It's actually a
Because
decent
I guarantee
show.
you haven't seen it.
Yeah,
I have seen it actually.
have you seen both seasons?
There's
How
two
do you haven't
seasons.
even seen
Exactly,
Daredevil?
exactly. You fraud. You fucking
There's two seasons.
Yes, there's 2 seasons.
I thought there was just the one.
No, there's 2
I
seasons.
thought it got canceled after its first season.
This is the guy who hasn't seen Daredevil but watches fucking Iron Fist.
Yeah,
It
so
was
the fact that he said
streaming
it's the
on
best
Netflix.
Marvel series, you gotta take it with a grain of salt that he hasn't seen 99% of Marvel shit. So
I mean, they're
it's
not
the best
wrong.
stuff he's seen.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's the best that
whatever.
I've seen.
Let's
Okay,
stay
that's what I'm saying.
focused
Zip
here.
it. Let's try to keep this on focus. Do you guys wish Bugs, who essentially is kind of the main character, should
Yes,
have
I
been
wish he
more?
was the main character.
Okay, from what you guys seen of her, do you guys think that had potential to do more? Like,
Yeah.
No,
Again, it's way more interesting to me, to this person who is kind of like a Matrix fangirl, whatever. Like she understands it. She tries to like study it. She's a big fan of Trinity and Neo. Makes sense, right? In this world where it's like, this is basically the Matrix 2.0. If they'd done some soft reboot shit, like it would have been way more justifiable. And the facts that they had a character like her who is again trying to just basically break out of the Matrix again, or leading other people in this new generation of people that are trapped in the Matrix.
And it would make sense that
Way
she
more
would want to
fascinating.
save like Neo and Trinity, and it
Yes.
should have followed her. Like I said, you don't need Morpheus.
Yeah, you don't need Morpheus. He's fine. He's dead. He died in the real world and also in the Matrix, essentially, I guess, whatever. And it's like they just have him, like if Neo and Trinity really are trapped in there or whatever, yeah, that could be more of a thing of like, we have to break them out. We have to save them.
Yeah, and
again, kind of echoing the idea from the first Matrix where Neo decides to break out and save Morpheus.
Yeah.
So something like that.
And it would have been a good twist on the Morpheus character, right?
Yeah.
She's like, she's not unsure. She's Morpheus without the experience.
Yeah.
Right? She's Morpheus is uncertain. She's just more, and she's Morpheus out of desperation.
She's like trying to fight some people, and someone's like, "What's she doing?" She's beginning to believe. No, I'm just kidding. Please, they really wasn't fucking necessary for them. Just like it wasn't necessary for them to be like, "I still know kung fu." I was like, "Fuck you!"
Fuck
That
you.
whole scene.
Oh yeah,
that whole fucking
we're gonna
scene.
save that for technical. Let's save that for technical.
Yuck.
And on top of that, that actress Jessica Henwick, we know that she's very she's well versed in all types of martial arts. She did her best in Iron Fist. She barely used a stunt double. So once again, when we get into technical, wasted. Fucking wasted.
Yeah,
wasted.
I would have not have guessed. I would not have guessed that she was actually, good at that because in this movie, no.
When Iron Fist, like
I'm saying in this movie.
in this movie, yeah.
No,
so I think Jessica Henwick, because when they casted her, I was very excited that she was the main character, but whatever. And then all the other characters, not worth mentioning. Well, what about you?
Oh, I was just gonna comment on. I'd say that Bugs is a really good character, and that she could have been utilized a lot more in this film.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said before, she should have been the main character, the main focus of the film, not just the first 30 minutes of the film.
Yeah, no, and she disappears after a certain point.
It's unfortunate because I feel like this storyline could have been better that way. They could have kind of flipped it on its head where they did it from a different perspective. Instead of being from the perspective of the one, it's the perspective of the person who's trying to find the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had the trilogy that already showed Neo and Trinity's story and Morpheus' story. It started, fucking ended.
Yeah, exactly. And now we have two ones. It just and we'll get into that. So now let's get into themes, narrative, and also.
Can I mention one character real quick before?
You have a character? You want to mention? Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, go.
I wanted to mention Brian J. Smith as Berg.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
He has like one line, but he was in Stargate Universe, so great character.
That's
that.
Okay, so it's actually nothing. You're just trying to sneak in a Stargate. Way to keep it focused, Miles. Way to keep
I'm
it
sorry,
focused.
I have to mention Stargate whenever I can. Otherwise, they won't put it back on the air.
Miles, don't worry. We'll eventually
Yeah.
cover Stargate maybe one day.
I feel like Stargate's never gonna die. It's fine.
Yeah, no,
All right, I'll say. Okay, so now let's get into the meat, right? The narrative,
The meaty greedy.
the narrative, the meta commentary, and stuff like that. All right, so first, I think the narrative is an absolute mess. Like it's structured in a weird way where it's like it's the first part. It's like it starts off as a meta narrative and commentary on reboot and
Sequels and whatever,
nostalgia bait and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But after a certain point, it becomes exactly like that, but not in a meta way or meta commentary way. Instead, it just does it because it has to, and also it follows a completely different path and transitions into a love story. Right?
Yeah.
I think that the meta commentary portion of it is almost apologizing for the rest of the film. It's like, or trying to cop out and be like, oh yeah, we know that we're just kind of reusing all this stuff, so we're gonna put this at the beginning of the movie, and it's all intentional. Don't worry, we aren't just reusing this stuff because we're trash writers. We're doing it because we are trying to make this point about how everything's just recycled nowadays, and the cyclical nature of both the Matrix and of consumerism.
I don't think so at the end. No,
It's the thing is,
I think that that's what they were going.
no,
for
I know,
with
but I
that.
don't think I don't think so at the end because like, all right, if they did trying, it was successful.
yeah, I don't think it's hard to tell exactly what their motives were for even just like making this movie, other than, money, of course. I'm sure that Warner Brothers really was like, hey, we want to redo the Matrix because, they've been trying to do that forever. So like we're going to do the Matrix again. We're going to do it. And it's like, fine. But again, it's like when you do something like that, it has to justify itself in some way. And this film just fails to justify itself in any way, really.
You know how to make a better Matrix Resurrections? By not making a Matrix 4.
Yeah. It's like, if you're going to do it, then it's like, then commit, man. But they don't, like,
I
really
really-
in any way. And that's just what's so disappointing.
I thought it really worked as a comedy, though.
No,
Like, it was hilarious.
The
The
thing is,
entire
it's
movie.
not bad enough to laugh at. Like,
Yeah.
I've seen movies that are bad enough where I'm just like, okay, this is just entertaining because it's so dumb or bad. But it's like, it's not. Like,
Yeah,
it's,
it was.
Okay, so the difference
not
between
to me.
the difference between this meta commentary movies and meta commentary satire movies or genre satire movies, like this one, or like something like Deadpool, something like 22 Jump Street. 22 Jump Street probably being the best meta commentary sequel movie ever. It's like it's consistent throughout. Like they consistently bring up like how it's derivative, like actually saying it, and talking about like how it being derivative affects the story and how like affects the characters.
Yeah.
But in this one, they forget all at one point. They literally stop after he gets off the game. They stop talking about it, even if they're going for that. And by the way, I don't think they regurgitate every scene from the first one because the train sequence is new, but is a terrible version of every other action scenes they've done. And also,
Well, the train sequence was just meant to emulate the truck scene.
Truck scene? from like
yeah,
the
yeah,
Revolutions?
No, all three. I'm talking about the original trilogy. It's just taking scenes from here and there throughout the entire original trilogy,
that would work
and then
better.
putting it together.
Because that would work better, because at least in like the meta commentary part, they were cutting back between old footage and new footage, right?
Yeah.
And archival footage, and that's like the technical term. And and they had shots that specifically mirror, like when Jonathan Groff was playing Smith and was going like Mr. Anderson, and that shot mirrored which was a bad thing, but whatever, their meta commentary shit.
Yeah.
It mirrored the shot of Hugo Weaving's Smith, right? Literally where the character was in the frame and how it was shot. It's a close up, stuff like that. But if you were to, let's just say, like, if we're going to give them enough credit that the train sequence was riving off the highway sequence of Matrix Reloaded, but none of the shots looked the same. None of the shots mirrored it. None of the technicality of it, and none of the stakes.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not even a good derivative in that sense, right? So it would have
They
to
were
be
trying to help a person escape using the hallway of many doors, or whatever they call it, and then going onto a train. So it was literally that whole sequence. They just kind of combined everything together because they had the Keymaster there.
the Keymaster? Who's the Keymaster?
In the first one.
No, who's the Keymaster in this one then?
The guy who had the keys.
In
yeah.
Matrix Resurrections.
Yeah. There's a guy who has literally keys to open the doors that go through.
No, but the whole point
places.
is that they have an actual person be the Keymaster that unlocks the key to the thing.
I
but who's the
understand that.
who's the object in this one?
There is so the object.
That's what I'm saying. In order to be a proper satire, you have to directly be derivative
is actually
every element and then satirize it.
The object in this one is actually Neo, because they're taking Neo through this journey to help him escape.
Yeah, but
right?
also the thing with the Keymaster is that he unlocks the final door, right? Neo doesn't unlock anything. So that does not, to be a good satire is that you have to understand the conventions of what you're satirizing and follow it to a T, but changing it up slightly to make a commentary on that. That's the point of good satire, good film satire, good narrative satire.
I'm not saying that it's a satire. I'm saying that it's homaging.
Homaging?
Yeah. It's an homage. No, literally, like, it felt like all the scenes were just homages to previous scenes that they had in the original trilogy.
I think that's called nostalgia bait.
Yeah, it's nostalgia bait. And also,
that's just straight nostalgia bait.
And homage works better when it's a homage to other properties, by the way.
Yeah.
So I'm saying it's not really
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying
yourself.
that's kind of what I felt was happening throughout the rest of the film. After
not necessarily, because
the meta stuff.
Also the motorcycle ride, that's like a completely, I mean, yes, it's technically just ripping off some elements, but it's a new sequence, but that's a very bad new sequence.
Yeah. If it comes off as lazy and uninspired more than anything else.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that, like, at least what you can say with the sequels of Reloaded and Revelations or Revolutions.
Reloaded and Revolutions. Revolutions, third one.
Is at least it seems like they were trying to push the boundaries in each of those films. They were trying to go bigger and have them be like feel more impactful, because once you start scaling up and you're building towards that like big climax fight, like it's hard to not have to try to top the previous films. This one, it felt like a step back, like in every way.
Direction, yeah.
It was just like nothing felt as grand or as interesting or as like impressive, and that's really disappointing overall.
So what do you guys think about overall the actual decision to resurrect? So actually two characters mainly, and then we kind of briefed on the recasting and stuff.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Matrix and not Matrix, Neo and Trinity right now, right? The actual resurrection plot, I think, was, for me personally, was absolutely terrible, and it was goofy when they were rebuilding the bodies and stuff like that. But what did you guys think?
I thought, okay, so this is one thing that you've got to take that with a grain of salt, like the whole thing, like, oh, because of their power of love they make the Matrix that much more powerful, because humans are horrible fucking batteries. Just gotta say it right here, right now. The whole plot from the original Matrix, that the humans are being used as batteries, that it's an incredibly inefficient way to have batteries. Just saying.
Yeah.
So I mean, you gotta look at least that portion of it and be like, okay, yeah, you gotta suspend your disbelief for that, because humans suck as batteries anyways. But them rebuilding them from the ground up, I thought it was okay. are we gonna get into the thing with like who Trinity is now?
We'll get into that.
well,
Yeah,
because-
you guys talk about that.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Trinity also becomes the one, and at first I was kind of like, that's so stupid because like there's only the one, and like why does she have all this power now? But then looking back through afterwards, I did rewatch Reloaded and Resurrections, and when Neo revives Trinity in Reloaded by putting his hand and restarting her heart, you could say that he did transfer some of his one powers to her. And then when she was rebuilt again, they kind of rebuilt her, and her connection with him over that long period of time from being just close enough together did give her that power to become the one.
That makes no sense.
It's the thing is, I was
but do you
believing it
understand
more.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, I believe
Yeah.
it more when like the architect was talking about how Trinity was so vitally important to Neo and the decisions that he was going to make when in Revolutions or Reloaded, he's given that like, oh, you have to either save her or like whatever, save Zion, whatever, and he chooses love and everything. So like, I was okay with that. Like, I'm fine with like Trinity having this great importance because she is very important
to that character,
to his character. The reason she's the reason why he even survives the first movie, like on multiple instances.
Mm-hmm.
She literally revives him at the end, through the power of love. And so that's fine. So I'm okay with like it basically being like a love story between like Trinity and Neo. I don't think it was the right decision for this film because it's just like
it's repetitive, and we've seen 3 movies.
Exactly,
of love story.
like we've seen it. It's already been done. It's been told, I think, pretty much all the best ways that it could have. So it's like, give us new shit is what I'm basically saying. Like, stop rehashing this shit. It's like they found each other again, and it's like, okay, it's fine. Like whatever. I think it was fine. It's just like it just seems lazy. Again, just lazy.
And what you're saying about like the power transferring, that's not how the one works that they explained in the original. It's like they're giving it to one single program / person, which was Neo, right? It's the code's not transferable unless like the architect decides it's so. And then but for some reason when they touch, it's like fucking Aaron and their brother Aaron and Zeke from Attack on Titan. When they touch, shit goes down. Like, what?
Okay, but all I'm saying is that he does revive her, and that's known to be only a power for one to be able to survive being dead and to come back to life, right? So he was able to make her come back to life.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean he transferred his one power.
But you see him reaching his hand inside of her, his code hand, not his real hand. He's reaching his code inside of her and fixing her code, right? Because he has those powers now. So
wait, so fixing code doesn't mean you give them the code for the one.
It's not, but it's not impossible that he didn't transfer that power
I could
to her.
see that.
So
Well, if that's the case, why didn't she have the power in Matrix Revolutions?
Because it only lasted for 24 hours. Do you remember how long it took Neo to unlock his one powers?
Wait, what do you mean? Sorry. Like
Matrix
I'm kind of
Revolutions
on board
only
with what you're
lasted
saying.
for 24 hours.
So what he's saying is that because he revived Trinity, right?
Yeah.
Well, Miles
He
saying
transferred some of her stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, I could see that because they kind of make that argument when he bonds with Agent Smith and like destroys him. That it's like, oh, he transferred some of his powers over to Agent Smith, and it's like that's fine. But when you have to start reaching that far, that far without it being kind of like clear or more understandable, digestible in this film. That's where I have an issue with it, where I'm like, I shouldn't have to just be like, okay, well then maybe in that last movie this thing happened, so perhaps maybe that's what happened. It's like, nah, that just doesn't work for me. At least in this film, this film should not necessarily stand on its own, but like if it's trying to do more of its own thing, you can't do that.
And by the way,
that feels like cheating.
I feel like you
Agent
guys
Smith
are
thing.
making me like be too nice on this film. I really didn't enjoy this film.
These are making
but-
weird claims. Okay, so
no, I'm not making fucking weird claims.
Okay, so let me break it down logically
yeah.
why it's wrong. So
Okay.
One, by the way, the whole Agent Smith, what happened? One, he didn't get transferred powers as a one. He just became a virus, right? So he doesn't really have any powers as a one except just like by absorbing. Like he first became a virus, and by absorbing more people, he just tends to have abilities comparable to the one. There's no transferring of powers.
They literally said that he is you and he is your opposite.
No, at the end, like evil you, but in terms of actual power transfer, that never happened. What's it called? And then what happened is like he went inside Smith. By the way, it's supposed to be a standalone film, so he's supposed to just die. But the sequels happened. They kind of rewrote it or whatever. and
Yeah.
put something that's kind of illogical. But he became a virus. Like he didn't become like evil one until like much later after absorbing everybody. And then after absorbing the Oracle, that's when his power level went off the roof like Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
So
It's over 9,000.
So transferring of the power by literally by that, like, you know, the physical entrance, that's not how it works in the Matrix, or at least the rules they set up in the first 3 films. So yeah, so that's I'm sorry to debunk your theory. I know, Miles, you're trying to justify this film's ridiculous leap of Trinity getting the one powers.
Look, I don't know where you're getting these rules from, but
it's from the first 3 films and watching the behind the scenes documentary and also getting.
Did you
the
ever
Matrix
fucking
story.
watch the second and third films?
Yes,
because
I did.
They threw the rule book out every single time they made a new film. So why can't they do it
but
this
at least
time?
if you're doing it, that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing.
I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm not defending this film, but I'm just saying.
But at least-
I'm
but
But then
justifying.
you're literally
that-
just saying that at that point that they can just make up shit.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that what you're doing is it's just make that's what I'm saying.
but
they made up shit, and that's not even.
I'm
based
just saying
on the
that
first
it's
3
not
films.
as atrocious as I first thought it was, because yes,
Okay,
I could.
We're doing 2 different arguments. I'm saying the argument that your claims about
They're
how-
not internally consistent,
it's
is what
not
Philip
internally
is saying.
consistent. Now
Miles
you're
is saying that it doesn't fucking matter because they rewrite shit all the time.
No, I'm
Miles is
saying
that
I'm
now.
saying that
Before
it's
he was
understandable.
before hey, look, shut up for a
Yeah.
second. Before what you were saying is
Keep
that
this amicable, guys.
before what you were saying about this is that it's actually consistent, because you're talking about you're using specific examples from the previous Matrix films to justify this insane plot logic. But I'm telling you that's wrong, because if you were making that it's consistent, but now you're changing the argument saying it's not consistent, doesn't matter.
No,
All right, never mind.
I'm
Let's-
saying that it's understandable and that there aren't really.
Now you're saying that's understandable.
No, I'm.
You're talking
whatever.
to a debate.
I'm not
guy,
saying that
so
it was a good thing. I'm just saying that I can understand where you could make the argument. Like all these arguments that I'm making, these aren't arguments that I full-heartedly believe in. I hardly ever make arguments that I full-heartedly
then
believe
why
in.
then why are you backing it up so much
What?
with things that
Because
don't
you
make
guys
sense?
are just straight up rejecting it.
Yeah,
whatever.
because it's
Yeah.
bad and it's not consistent, and it breaks. Even though the other films broke the rule, but this one takes it to a whole nother level.
Okay,
let's get.
I'm
okay,
tired of this argument. Let's just move on.
Let's get it. Let's get in. Let's get
Whatever.
into. I'm sorry. When people make bad arguments, it triggers me.
No, but these aren't necessarily bad arguments.
Yes, because you're
You just
changing
said
the
you don't
argument.
believe in the
and
argument.
stuff that you're saying about he's
let's
just
get
a
down
virus
to
and stuff
technical.
like that.
Let's get
That's
into
wrong.
technical. Let's get into technical. Miles, it's okay.
Well,
It's-
whatever,
You're
stop.
obviously not good at debate. All right.
No, you're just fucking shouting louder than I am. And you're
because
making up
I'm
bullshit.
actually because I'm actually bringing facts and commentaries and talking about how those facts connect
where
to
are the
A, B, and
where
C
are the
points.
facts about him being just a fucking virus? Like literally,
Wait,
if
they
you
even
look
said that in the second film.
No,
Miles,
if
do you
you
remember
look-
the film? Do you remember the film?
Yes.
Oh my
Even
God.
even
you
the
look
human
into these
characters, the hackers,
movies-
they were saying like, "Oh, he's acting like a virus now." The
Yeah.
straight up line from the second film. Miles, let's get into
no, but
technical.
if
Let's
you
get
look
back on
into the
track.
movies, if you look into the movies,
Miles,
there are
Miles,
multiple
I don't think you are
instances where
looking
they
into
talk.
the
No,
movies.
no,
No, you're not.
There are
So,
multiple
okay.
instances where they basically say that yes, he has gotten some of Neo's powers. He's learned Neo's powers throughout the films, and that's how he's able to escape his
right,
bonds
Miles.
of being just an agent.
Miles,
Okay, are you
it's
team
fine. Let's
Miles or are
move
you
on.
team Philip?
Let's
Let us
just-
know
let's
in the
just move on.
comments,
It's-
okay?
Okay, fine.
Yeah,
I
move
guess-
on. Let's just get into the fucking technicals
What's
of
it
this
called?
movie.
All right, so wrong by the way, Miles. But okay, so when we get into technical stuff about this is, so what I think it's atrocious. So the first scene that I want to talk about, and I think you know what scene I'm going to mention, is the fight scene between the Neo and Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole sequence, by the way. So part of what made the original so wonderful is that one, they won amazing cinematographer Bill Pope. John Toll's not bad. He did fucking Braveheart and Thin Red Line, Last Samurai, but he's just not the right person for this. And number two is they got the choreographer from who made like Iron Monkey and other type of Hong Kong martial arts films. I don't know what the fuck happened. I don't know if the choreographer was this one, and maybe he's not even the choreographer, but it's just the way they shot it, which was like shot reverse, like shaky cam shit.
Yeah.
And it unplanned. It wasn't like wide close up for impact shots and a wide shot to see the different moves or see the hook kick, and then it cuts to another close up to see like an impact shot where it breaks the ribs or something like that, or it turns the tide of the battle. And I found out after an interview with Keanu Reeves is that apparently he said, "Oh, what's the difference about this shoot compared to the last one is that when we did the Matrix, everything was very planned out and there was a shot list and we followed the shot list to a T." He said for this one, they didn't have a shot list. They didn't follow things to a T and they just shot shit on the fly.
Yeah, see, that shows just the oh man. That makes so much sense because in the first one, like you're saying, the film language that is used perfectly for all those fight scenes and the choreography and the action scenes is on full display. You can see it, and you talk about how they trained rigorously and how they practiced like crazy for all the fights to look as crisp and as clean as they do, and you can see it all happening. You can read it, you understand. In this one, it's just like they just intercutting between the fight scenes. None of the real hits have any form of impact. None of it actually like feels fucking grounded in any kind of sense. And it's just like it's just happening, and it loses. My interest is gone. Like in the first one, it's like, oh wow, shit! Like you're reading what's like it's gonna like you see everything unfolding. They even mimic that shot of like the speed punches that Smith gives to like to Neo. But in this one, it's like when that happens in the first one, it's like, oh fuck, he's really beating the shit out of Neo. How's he gonna get out of this? In this one, it's just like, oh well, there's the thing from the first movie. And they just move on like immediately from it. It's like there's nothing there that makes me believe that these dudes really trained. And it's what makes it more egregious too is that Keanu Reeves is one of those guys who has just gotten better with age when it comes to just stunt choreography and everything. Like we see it on full display in the John Wick movies. The amount of like of training and like a rigorous prep that he does for those films. Again, with just the gunfights and everything. Very different styles of gunfighting and action in both films. But the point is he's capable. He's more than capable of doing that now. And so the fact that they did not utilize his talents like at all, really, it's unforgivable.
I think it's egregious that we got better fight scenes in Shang-Chi with the cinematographer from the original Matrix.
Yeah.
Than this film. This film should have outclassed Shang-Chi. This is the shit that influenced Shang-Chi.
Yeah. And it's like not there at all.
What the fuck? And even the train sequence was like super lame, and whenever somebody got shot.
Yeah, and there's another thing too. It's like when Neo is using like basically like his force powers to like stop bullets or to like push stuff or cause ripples in reality and shit. It's like he uses it sparingly in the original trilogy. I mean, to a certain point, yes, of course, he like stops all the bullets and then like fights everyone and like and reloaded and shit, which is probably the best scene in that movie.
Well, I think that was like the point of that force power to stop bullets was literally so that they could have more hand-to-hand combat because it basically makes everybody drop their guns and then they go and fight, which I mean, kind of done. It's like, oh yeah, we can't kill this guy with bullets because he can stop bullets, but let's go at him with axes and swords. That's going to do a lot better for us.
Yeah. The thing is it becomes more believable. It's almost like Dune, when like projectiles kind of lose their like any kind of like real effect. You have to come in close to hand combat. So I think that's more believable to me, but it just stay consistent to that.
Well, there were too many fucking guns in this movie, honestly.
And well, the thing is, they have guns, but like there's a shitload of guns in the original too. And it's like the way that they use them, the way they're utilized is like basically everyone who's like not Neo has to use guns to kill anyone who's not an agent, because again, the agents are terrifying. They are a force to be reckoned with in the original. Later, they lose their potency, but it makes more sense because Neo is like pretty much grows beyond them, which is fine. But in this one, it's like they still kind of have the agents be more of a threat, but then instead they do like the swarm thing, which is an interesting concept to have the idea of like there's just a shitload of bots that are attacking people. It's like, that's interesting. Is it a smart move? Not really, because you lose all the impact
of the agents. Visually distinct of what's
it's like it no longer becomes impressive or really interesting when they're fighting off literal just bots. Like it's like these bots that are useless. They're kamikazing themselves off of like roofs. Mm-hmm. That was laughable. That was a scene I will agree that made me laugh when the dudes are just jumping off and just fucking face planting into their cars. That made me giggle because it looked funny, and I'm pretty sure I wasn't supposed to be laughing at that.
No, I think
it made me laugh.
Well, yeah, I guess they were trying to emulate like the impact shots, like in the scene where Neo's vision in the second movie where he sees Trinity falling off the building and then hitting a car. Yeah, they were trying to emulate that shot.
No,
were they?
No, they
Because
weren't.
it's
Because
like
that's a different shot.
The reason why that's so sad is because that's Trinity, who we care about, and who
I
can
know,
die.
but-
And in this one, it's just people.
No.
It's like, are they emulating that? Or are they literally like, wouldn't this be kind of interesting to
Okay,
have
they
a
were
bunch of people
referencing it.
dive
No, but
bombing
if they
it?
were emulating that shot, it would have been a slow-mo. It would have been like first head-on shot, because I remember the shot so well because I fucking watched so many times. Then it's a side profile shot, which is slow, and then after that, what's a tracking shot of the bullet entering the stomach. Then after that, it's a close-up shot of her face after she reacts to getting shot, and then it's a straight up, what's it called, static shot of her hitting the car. So no, it's not trying to emulate that at all.
No, they were just emulating the static shot of her hitting the car. That's really funny in the original.
No, if it was, it would have been a different shot. It would have been from a different angle. Yeah, Miles.
No, I'm talking about just the shot at the.
No,
it have been,
the way that shot is, it follows that guy just going in straight and hitting it, and also from that angle is wrong. That angle is not the angle that it was at the thing.
Okay.
Miles, did you watch the film?
Yes, I did.
Okay, we're gonna move on from it. Okay,
Well,
so yeah, I think it's terrible. It's a terrible emulation.
I'm not saying they're recreating it. I said they're emulating it.
Yeah, in order to emulate it, you have to do it from the shot.
You don't have to do the exact same thing every time.
You have to use similar shots, right? You have to use similar visual language, but they don't. As I was saying, I think they got the wrong Wachowski.
I'm sorry. I'm just going to read off the definition of emulate: match or surpass, an achievement typically by imitation. So it's like, I feel like they didn't do any of that. Like it was just like, it was the weakest point. It's like at the most you could call it like a callback or something, but it's like, that again, that's just lazy and not even in an interesting way where they could like again do the meta commentary thing. It's like it didn't feel like it was trying to be meta anymore. It's like, I don't know. It's just they were just like, yeah, fuck it, let's just do that.
And do you guys remember the end tag of the film?
Oh yeah, where they're like all joking around, like.
Yeah. Oh god, and that was the end tag for a completely different film.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
gosh, this film's atrocious.
Like why are you like like elbowing me in the ribs like this is supposed to be fucking funny when it's like this is just dumb and kind of sad. It's like I feel like you're reminding me of what something this film could have been or something, and instead it's just disappointing. Whatever.
It is on every single fucking level. Oh, and it's Smith. The Smith character, how they handled the end of that character.
He just walks away.
He just
right?
walks away as like
he's like, I'm done with this.
Well,
and
that's
then
because
leaves.
they're probably. It felt to me a lot like this was intended to be the first movie in a second trilogy. Honestly,
Is it?
It
We'll
really
see.
felt like that's what they were going for with the end of that, because you've got Neo and Trinity saying, "Oh yeah, we're gonna rebuild," and you've got Smith kind of walking off, and he's like, I'm going to go do my own thing. So you can, I mean, it looks like Smith is going to be the main big bad guy of the second movie if they have a second movie, which, yeah, sure.
I don't even think that's the case. I mean, there's no plans.
Look,
for a sequel.
I've just watched so many awful movies that this one didn't feel as awful. Honestly, that's the only thing that I saw here. I was like, okay, it's forgivable. I really felt it was forgivable, and I laughed enough to make it worth my time to watch it.
I completely disagree because it's from, we already got two bad sequels, right? To have a third one, it's just really just kicking a person down when they're already like paralyzed,
beating a digitally rendered horse.
Well, I liked when they tried to replicate like the glass. Okay, I'm not going to say replicate, but they replicated effects, I guess you could say, because the car effect where the car got smushed, that was the effect that they were going for when the people were diving. But then also one of my favorite effects that they had was when they had the explosion go off and hit the window in the original Matrix movie, and you see just this kind of wave go out across the glass windows, and they did that in this movie with an entire building.
Wait, but yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
But it was not as impactful because when it happened in the first film, right? When Trinity was like on the road.
Climax of this like really big and long dramatic sequence where it's like it's the whole sequence from when they first invade the complex to when they like, rescue Morpheus, they escape in the helicopter, they save everybody, and then like Neo is able to like capture or like get, grab the chain or whatever and pull up a Trinity as the airplane is crashing and exploding in this huge thing. It's in the center frame. It's like this.
Exactly.
You feel the weight of like dun, 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 the impact and everything. And in this one, there's kind of a distant. Yeah, there's a wide shot of a helicopter crashing into like the top portion of a building, and you kind of see the ripple effect if you look closely.
Yes,
it's a fairly big ripple effect.
No, the framing and cinematography is different too. Like it's not even about like the actual ripple effect in the world. It's just like when they did it in the Matrix, it was a close up.
How did you guys watch this movie, by the way?
What's it called? I watched it. I watched it on HBO Max because I couldn't have time to watch it because I was working. And we're just recording it the day it came out. I mean, you guys both watch.
Yeah, I watched it on HBO.
Yeah, I watched it on HBO Max, but I was on a like 75-inch screen. So
I like I said, the first time I watched it was just on my computer. Second time I watched it was at my work at his big TV. It was
an iPod Nano.
Okay, because
that would have been effective for the film. By the way, this is a recurring gag ever since.
All I'm gonna say is I did it. I laughed throughout this film. I don't know why.
Is that what you want out of a Matrix film?
Is that what you want?
Honestly, after the second two, I wasn't expecting anything at all out of this one. I was like, oh yeah, this is just going to be some more like fucking pumped out trash from the big companies. And I like that they went in a different direction and made something funny because
but they weren't trying to make anything funny.
It wasn't even that funny.
And it's like, again, it's not even bad.
I thought it was hilarious.
You have a weird sense of humor.
Yeah,
I do.
I might have a weird sense of humor. Just,
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. It's funny to you, but not anyone else.
Okay, well, what's this movie rated at right now? It's like,
that's what I'm surprised. It's like 69 right now on Rotten Tomatoes.
Nice.
Okay.
What's it called? But that one is, but the average rating is like 6 something, which is okay.
Yeah,
best.
64 on Metacritic, 69 on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 6 out of 10 on IMDb. Yeah,
which is not good, by the way.
That's not good, but it's not as bad as you guys are saying. I mean, like,
okay,
some people think it's funny. I'm not the only one.
I doubt that they're saying that they think it's funny.
Yeah. By the way, it's like you want to pull up thousands of reviews, you can, but not right now because you have no time.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's just good. And if you're using Rotten Tomatoes and stuff like that, we're just the only thing that shows is that critics, 69% of critics gave it a 6 out of 10 or above. But if you look at the average rating, it's like barely 6. Yeah.
So, which I think is too generous.
Yeah, it's too generous.
All right, guys. So
let's get into. You want to say?
Or no? What are we doing?
We're just doing final ratings now.
Okay. Let's get into those final ratings.
We already said our opinions. Let's go straight and dirty. Just final opinions. Miles, you go first.
Are we gonna do the original trilogy too?
No.
Okay. Yeah. So this movie, I would say stream it with ads.
I was gonna give it a shit bucket, but it's like it wasn't bad enough that I can toss it into the shit bucket. So like, but I don't even want to say bargain bin because I don't want to own this.
Just commit it.
Yeah, I'll say it's the shit bucket. Yeah.
Same shit bucket. It's like, gosh.
Wow,
this
is the first corporate film where I've given it a better rating than you guys.
Corporate film. What the fuck does that even mean? What does that even mean? Corporation. Guess what? A24 is a pretty big production company.
That's a corporate. Literally, that's what it is. Are you talking about major production studios in the big big four studios? Then that's accurate.
Yeah.
That's what, like, as you see from the start, Miles doesn't know what emulation is, corporate means. It's a recurring thing.
Okay, let's just. All right, so we're pretty much wrapped up here, right?
Yes. Let's end it before we kill each other and bathe our bloods in it. Okay, thank you guys for another episode of Have a Clue. This is a very entertaining episode where Miles and I we rip at each other, but we're actually good friends.
Yeah, we don't hate each other as much as it would seem like. It's all for you guys.
Thank you guys. Yep. Yes, we're putting on a performance. How's it called?
I'm not actually an idiot.
No, he's not. I'm just I'm putting on a character. Thank you guys so much. Stay tuned for another episodes. If you like our content, follow us and like us on YouTube and Instagram.
What did you guys think about the Matrix Resurrection film? Were you as excited and loving of it and forgiving as Miles was, or were you
as wrong about it as Philip and Ron were? Thank you and have a great day.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.